What's up, Katie?
Not much. I have been enjoying Itza's yoga class so much that I'm officially purchasing my first yoga mat. So super excited for that. Also had to give her class a plug because I just think it's amazing. I love it.
Awesome. Hey, congrats. You're finally a yogi.
And it's cool, dude. Like I had no idea how good it was gonna be for my back and dude, my knees until I tried it. And I'm addicted.
Very, very cool. Yeah, her class is on Fridays at 4 p.m. I haven't gotten a chance to take it, but I know she's a wonderful teacher, so I'm excited that's on there.
Yes, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Very cool. We got Branden on here. Branden, I sent you the request, so just whenever you're ready, we'll get you on and get the mic going.
Let's see. Good to see you, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this one, and I know you've been talking to Branden a little bit too. So this is going to be really fun.
I think so. Um, Always love having new guests on, and so I think this is going to be a great episode.
Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me now?
Perfect, loud and clear, man.
Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much. I know we had this scheduled for a few weeks ago, but I really appreciate you sticking with me and taking the time to come on and talk to Katie and I. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate y'all bringing me on the show. I remember when you reached out to me, I was super excited. Tyler seems to always talk me up, and I appreciate him for it.
Yeah, he does. He was the one who gave me your info, man, and he's been a great friend to have up north, a really good contact, and he said nothing but wonderful things about you. So, for our listeners that might not know, just go ahead and give us a quick intro, maybe where you train, your rank, and stuff like that. Also,
All right, man. I'm Brandon. I'm a purple belt, one stripe, currently training at Invictus, which I mean we do jiu-jitsu and MMA and stick fighting.
very cool.
Yeah.
Like Cali sticks,
Yeah,
nice. I like those. That's such a great art to watch.
yeah.
Haven't practiced too much, but it definitely looks really cool. How long have you been training?
I've been training for coming up to 14 years.
Holy cow, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I definitely started young. I was 10 years old when I started. I don't think I could tell you about my first day. It's in jiu-jitsu. It's been so long.
And so you're in your early 20s now, right?
I am 24, turning 25 in August.
Awesome. Congrats, man.
Thank you, my man.
So what kind of drew you to jiu-jitsu? Was, how did you hear about it, or, what kind of piqued your interest?
So my parents were already doing jiu-jitsu at Gracie Baja, at the East Side Gracie Baja location, but this was long before they were Gracie Baja. That my mother took me into watching introductory kids class, and the black belt at the time got on his knees and asked me if I wanted to try it, and that was kind of the end of it. I said yeah, and we went from there.
Very cool. And so did you like it immediately, or was it something that you had to like kind of experience a little for a few times before you really started to fall in love with it?
I liked it off the bat, but liking and loving are two different things. It did take me a little bit to just absolutely become enamored by it.
That's really cool because I often think about that. I'm the same way. I walked into my first jujitsu school and I knew I liked the art already. However, it's hard to think back, when I actually like fell in love with it and said I'm going to be training this, for as long as I can.
Right. I mean, I get that. The minute you get over the hump of white belt and you're a fresh blue belt, if you get to blue belt, you're staying.
That's true, and we hear that you hear the cliche all the time that people quit at blue belt, but if you stick around at blue belt, then you're pretty much in it to for the long haul. So you started training around 10 years old, and so I'm assuming you went through the kids ranks. What belt did you get up to training as a young adult?
I got all the way up to the green black belt.
That's really good. Wow.
I was like one of the first kids really in their system to stay in it for as long as I had. And then at Gracie Baja, if you were to get all the way through the system and then get into the adults class, you completely skip white belt. So you go straight to blue.
Awesome. So when you transitioned to the adult class, then you got your that's when you got your blue belt.
Yep.
Very cool. And so how was that transitioning from, adults to, or from the kids class to the adults class? I have some students right now that are doing that, and man, I can tell you, because I'm a new teacher or instructor, I'm super nervous when my kids head over to the adult mat.
I mean, I understand why you'd be nervous. I mean, it's understandable for the kids to be nervous as well, but it feels like a coming of age. It feels like you getting there, and so many of the adults that are going to be on the mat with you, you've known for forever. There are obviously going to be some that you just met, but I mean, it's part of life is meeting new people.
Very cool. I agree. Yeah, so I've just recently had that experience. I have a 13-year-old student who, spent a few months training with me, and that first day that we, decided he was going to jump over to the adult mat, I was super nervous, and I ended up skipping the kids class and training with him the whole time. Um, but he's doing great now. It's been a few weeks in, and I love it.
I bet you that you just skipping and training with him meant everything because that was someone that he was familiar with, sort of ushering him into the adult class.
Yeah, and I like how you said it was kind of a coming of age thing. It was a little ceremonial because I could tell he was nervous. I was nervous too. So taking that little bit of extra time to really devote to, making him calm or making him feel calmer on the mat. I think it went a long way, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here.
I mean, just give him my best, man. It's a journey.
It definitely is, and I don't think you realize it when you first get in how long the journey is, and it can be quite daunting when you see how really tall that mountain is.
That's true, but if you don't worry about the mountain, you just worry about the next step ahead of you, the next rock that you got to climb over. It gets a little easier because if you look at the full scope of anything, it's going to scare you.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I know we had talked earlier, and you said, one of your goals is to maybe get into some motivational speaking, which I think you're already great at. Um, and it's something that a lot of people need help. So the topic today is, what motivates you? And right now, we share the same rank. We're both purple belts. We're, you know, fairly around halfway through this journey. So what motivates you not only to train jiu-jitsu but just in your everyday life?
To train jiu-jitsu, I love it. And I love the coaches I've gotten to sit with and learn from. And I just hope that my real motivation there is to at some point get to the point, get to where they are, get to being able to teach other students, being able to show my game and be able to give someone else something that works.
That's very cool because I share that very same interest. I love sharing my game, and not only that, but just contributing to other people's games, because every person's individual game is different, regardless of if you train under the same person or with the same person for years.
Exactly. I don't know if you've had to change instructors in the past, but what I've noticed is that every instructor is different. Like everyone teaches different, and there's something more often than not that I can take away from everyone I roll with, and whether it's okay, I got caught in a triangle twice. I need to start avoiding the triangle, or whether it's a whole technique I picked up from them.
Yeah, it could be a detail, it could be a whole move or a sequence of moves. And we talked about influence earlier this week. You never know how much you're going to influence someone. I've met people that, I've only met for maybe one training session, but they made a huge impact on my game just because of their outlook or their contributions in rolling.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, the nice thing is to be able to give that is to be able to give that impact. And that may seem semi-selfish, but I like to be able to see what I give to someone.
Mhm.
And hearing it every once in a while is nice too.
I'm 100% with you. One of my favorite things as an instructor is when a student comes to me and says, "Hey, that move that we went over, or that thing that we were talking about, it worked on the mat, or it worked live." And that probably is, the highest part of my day sometimes.
Right. So a little bit of a story. Yesterday, I was at Invictus, and Coach Rick taught me the bulldog choke. and I was able to hit it in our matches. So that felt really good.
Always good when you can see, that training session translate into the live role, and know that the work is paying off.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes in jiu-jitsu, we don't feel like we're making any progress, but like you said, you can't look at the entire mountain at those times.
Exactly. Sometimes it's important for you to take a step back, take a look back, and see like, okay, so let's give it 2 months and see the little improvements you've made in those 2 months, because it's a good confidence booster.
Yes, exactly. And great advice, coming from someone with the training experience that you have. I've only been in it 6 years, so I could only imagine, having, sticking with it. I've got my ups and my downs, and it's hard sometimes, and it's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to get up and go train. And it's awesome that you've been able to stick with it this long. I really admire that.
Thank you. The way I look at it is, no matter what kind of a day you're having, or not having, no matter what kind of a day you're having on the mat, everything changes. Everything personally for me, any stress that I had, any problem goes away for an hour, and choking someone is stress relieving.
It absolutely is, and it's probably one of my favorite parts of the game. I love handing out free chokes. Katie, I just saw your mic going on and off. I didn't know did you have a question or a comment?
No, you're totally fine. I really love that comment about not looking at these giant things as a giant thing, like not looking at the mountain as a whole. And I had a question for you that kind of involves training. I know that we all have those off days where you get to the gym and you're like, oh man, like my gi's too tight, my belt doesn't feel good. What do you do on those days to motivate you? Do you have a saying or a mantra that you think of, or do you have something that you use to focus on? What do you do on those particularly off days?
On those particularly off days, I can't say I have a saying or anything. I push myself to go and try. And nine times out of 10, when I do push myself to go and I go all out in the rolling and all that, I feel tons better after. So I guess you could say that would be the motivation.
No, I totally love that. I think that sometimes it really is truly great to just get on the mats and work out that stress. You're absolutely right. Choking is the best stress reliever, man. Like choking someone out, it's a good time.
I mean, hey, we're all like free chiropractors, aren't we?
All amateur. Yeah, that's a great way. Amateur chiropractors.
That's one of my favorite things to say. It'll always give a laugh or two.
I'm going to steal that one for sure. It's interesting because when you're teaching, instructing, you have to keep people's attention, and a nice light joke here and there always goes a long way.
Definitely. And a big part of keeping someone's attention is the tone at which you speak. So like if someone were to be really monotone, especially like if you were to watch, if any of you have watched TED Talk or any of the TED Talks, they don't speak monotone. They speak with energy. And it really grabs people's attention.
Absolutely. Energy, confidence, and I've enjoyed talking to you. I know we haven't gotten to talk a lot. We met briefly at the seminar up in Albuquerque when we got to see Damien Maya. I know Jamie, who's on the line, was there also, and that was really cool to go up there. And I've really been looking forward to making a trip up north to train with you guys, because there's so many people and so many good gyms up there that we just have to get more cross training in.
I'll tell you this on behalf of the whole school, Invictus would love to have you.
That would be great. We got to set that up for sure.
Definitely.
So I would love, man, cross training is one of my favorite things in the whole world. I think that the gym that you have there is awesome. And I heard lots of great things from Mark. I did want to kind of pick your brain. So I myself am a communicator. Like I was telling you, I got my degree in journalism and communications. And I kind of want to hear what makes you want to be a motivational speaker. That's really cool. I think that some of the best events I've ever been to had amazing motivational speakers. So I'd love to pick your brain on like what made you want to be a motivational speaker? What kind of drew you to that?
So when I decided I wanted to be a motivational speaker, which I haven't been doing very often, but this is an opportunity to do so. But when I decided to be a motivational speaker, I realized that there are a lot of people physically like me. There are a lot of people mentally like me out there that have no one to be their voice. They need a voice. I think that they need someone telling them that they can do whatever they set their minds to. I think that, and it's not only for people like me, I think that, well, for lack of better phrasing, there are some really ignorant people out there. And I think that I can teach them something.
That is awesome, and I love how you say that. It can be hard when you have people that aren't maybe open to different views or different people. And I love how you say, we'll find those people and you can teach them something. That's amazing.
Thank you. People need to hear it, is all.
Very cool. So, like I said, you're a purple belt. I'm a purple belt also. We're about halfway through. What are your goals? The motivational speaking. Are you looking to continue training and get your black belt? Do you want to, teach or do seminars? Because I could see you doing, all kinds of stuff just with the passion that I hear from you in the sport.
So as far as jiu-jitsu goes, my ultimate jiu-jitsu dream would be getting my black belt and getting a few seminars under my belt, and then going and working with the BJJ Globetrotters.
And who's that? I'm sorry. Can you just elaborate a little bit if we aren't too familiar with them?
So with the Globetrotters, there are a group of professors or brown belts that go all around the world, and they come into schools to teach their techniques for a month or so, and then they just move on.
That is really cool. That's the first I've heard of it, but I'm definitely going to look it up. And that seems like something that would be awesome to be a part of.
Definitely. There was a instructor that came in when my previous instructor, Dave Binder, was having shoulder surgery. His name was Charles Harriet, and he's with the BJJ Globetrotters, and that's kind of where I got the idea.
That's very cool. I know Katie just sent me a link. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to check that out. Katie, have you heard of that?
Yeah, so actually when I first got into BJJ, the Globetrotters are kind of who I first bumped into, and I thought it was really cool because I come from a karate martial arts background, right? And like many martial arts, karate has a lot of politics in it. And something really cool I thought about the Globetrotters is they were very much like, we want to teach people, we want to make sure we're showing people techniques, and we're not about playing politics. And I thought that was really, really cool and something that would be cool to be a part of. So I think those dreams are awesome, and I think that's definitely a goal you'll be able to achieve.
Thank you. I think as far as politics and BJJ goes, I don't see a need for them. The sport itself was built for anyone to be able to come together, just learn with each other, learn under each other. And people that play it like, oh, this is my team and you can't go and visit with any other team, you have to wear my gear. Not cool. It's not what it's meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading a book that Jamie gave me, and it was really opening my eyes to, the true spirit of the martial arts and why people started it in the first place.
How'd that book go? What'd you learn from it?
It's awesome. It's the Hickson Gracie Breathe book, and man, I highly recommend it for anyone. If you love jiu-jitsu, you'll absolutely love this book. The stories, the way Hickson tells his perspective, you know, I absolutely love it. Um, I opened up the mics for anybody if you would like to, come on. At this point, we like to bring people on, ask questions, make comments. If anyone has a question for Branden, please definitely raise your hand if I didn't send you the invite. Katie, also too, if you have anything, please take it away.
So I know we were chit-chatting about like what martial arts means, and I would love to hear what martial arts means to you, because for me personally, I've been doing martial arts, I think grand total about 10 and a half years. I had to take a little bit of a break from karate. I got back into it as an adult, and then that's how I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And personally for me, martial arts means a heck of a lot more than just being able to defend myself. So I'd love to hear what martial arts means to you.
Martial arts to me, it's obviously an extracurricular activity, but it's become part of my life. When I was young, I was in physical therapy, and because of jiu-jitsu, I was able to drop it entirely because jiu-jitsu was already increasing my flexibility, increasing my strength, everything that physical therapy would be doing for me.
So, I would say too, but would you say that the jiu-jitsu has has done more for you as far as physical therapy would go?
It definitely has. I honestly couldn't see my life without it. Not only one of the biggest stress relievers, it's where I've made a lot of really good friends. And some of them aren't in the state anymore, but they have schools wherever they are.
That is cool, and it's important to me too. A lot of people say, that jujitsu saved their life, and I know sometimes it's a meme and sometimes we laugh about it, but I absolutely know 100% that I don't know where I would be without it, or quite frankly, I think I know where I would be without it, and it's not a good place.
I agree with that. I think that everyone can take something away from jiu-jitsu, and whether that's physical or mental or just increasing your circle of people, or even just when it comes down to critical thinking.
Yeah, it keeps the brain sharp. It really does. And a lot of times, especially now, with all the video games and all the distractions that we have digitally, it's important to keep the mind working as well as the body. And I know you had mentioned it, people who struggle with, depression, or that, the mental health, and jiu-jitsu I've seen has helped those people the most.
Yeah, I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Whenever I'm having a bad day, ending it on the mat makes it better.
Absolutely. It's hard not to get distracted when someone's trying to choke you. You're there in the moment. And that's what a lot of meditation is about, is trying to keep people in the moment. But jiu-jitsu definitely, when someone's trying to strangle you, keeps you in the moment.
Oh, definitely. First thing you think is, okay, how do I remove their arm?
Yeah, exactly. How do I keep blood flow into the brain, or how do I keep breathing? Because man, the chokes are coming.
You say that, Mark and Katie, I gotta ask both of you, what are your favorite chokes at the current moment in time?
Triangle. Just triangle. My favorite choke at one point, dude, listen, I have been hitting triangles. Like, I don't know what, so I'm very lanky. Very short torso, very, very, very long arms and legs, which is great for some submissions and actually not very good for others. But man, that triangle has worked so well for me, even with guys with giant shoulders. I used to hit the darce on a lot of people. That used to be my favorite submission. But I was running into a lot of people that were just kind of like muscling their way out of it. But man, that triangle, like as soon as you're stuck in there, as soon as I can turn the corner and hook under your leg, like I'm fully confident you're either going to tap or you're just going to fall asleep. So 100% triangle for me.
I love it. I actually just recently was taught how to do a proper triangle. Not that I haven't seen the technique before, but my legs are a lot smaller, so it's a lot harder to get the triangle and keep it. But I was recently taught to do it. So
That's awesome. And I been studying this for years, and I tell my students all the time, there's some submissions that I just got good at, like 5 months ago, maybe. I like how you said, you've seen the technique, but to actually properly do it is another thing. I love the choke joke, or the choke question, because I was just going to ask you the same thing, man. My favorite is the rear naked choke. I love it. It'll always be my favorite. What's yours?
I love the rear naked. At the current moment in time, there's a choke that Demi and Maya taught me at the seminar, similar to a rear naked. But what I do is, instead of putting my hand behind your head, I'll just put it I'll put it behind your shoulder, grab my armpit, and just pull back.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So when I walked in, and I know you were there at the Maya seminar, when I walked in, I was already pumped. I love Damien Maya. And when he said we're doing back, I mean, I just lit up like a kid in a candy store.
I get that. I've been a fan of Pride and UFC for as long as I can remember because my parents have. So getting to see Demi and Maya and talk with him and learn from him was just amazing. And there are still things that he said at that seminar that I think about to this day.
All right. So you brought it up, and now I got to ask, who is your favorite UFC fighter?
Hands down, Anderson Silva.
I can
Oh, yeah.
appreciate that.
I love
Like,
it.
that's a vibe.
How
Is there
about
a
you?
reason he's your favorite?
Really? Ever since I saw his first, I saw it was Forrest. No, it wasn't Forrest. It was Rick Franklin Anderson, number 2. And from that point on, I was just a fan. I was like, whoa, this guy's faster, and he's faster than the rest of the competition. He's dancing around him. He's amazing.
I'm 100% with you, man. He is my favorite UFC fighter. I loved every minute of his career except for those last few fights. It was hard to see him get hurt because I really did love him.
And I think that those last few fights, if anything, were more mental. I can't imagine snapping your leg in half and coming back with any kind of mental stability, you know?
You know, a lot of people say athletes don't come back the same after an injury like that, and there's I'm a lot of evidence to that point. But mentally, of course, same thing. He just didn't come back the same after.
Have you seen his boxing matches though?
Oh yeah. He's a phenomenal boxer. I love his training. I go to his YouTube boxing stuff all the time if I'm looking for inspiration or for some technique or anything like that.
We were just talking about mental mental stability and mental awareness in fighters, and I think it's really interesting that you bring up that you think it was mental, because my favorite fighter is Cowboy Cerrone. I love him to
I
death.
love Cowboy.
He is so crazy. One of our senseis has a ranch right next to the BMF ranch. They live right next to each other. It's super cool. But I really think that this last fight, it was the first fight his son was ever going to watch. And I genuinely think, because he throws up before every fight. It's like a pre-fight ritual. He has a crazy anxiety. He'll throw up and then he's fine. But I really think that his crazy stomach issues came because his kiddo was going to watch his fight. That's my conspiracy theory over it.
Katie has an insane amount of knowledge about Cowboy Cerrone.
Have you ever met Cowboy, Katie?
Listen, if I had met Cowboy, he would be the only thing on my social media. I think he's the coolest thing ever. So unfortunately, I have not met him. But if I had, the whole world would know.
I love Cowboy. I've sat with him a few times, rolled with him once, I think.
Branden, are you telling me you have the hookup to Cowboy Cerrone right now? Because listen, man, I'll drive wherever I need to go. It'll be a good time.
I'm not telling you I have the hookup at the moment, but if something pops up in the air, I'll let you know.
So how was that experience though? How did you guys end up meeting? I really want to hear this.
So Gracie Baja Eastside started a little partnership with Jackson's under the it was under the table for a little bit, and then they went public with it. But they had a bunch of their fighters start coming in and rolling at the Friday night Shark Tanks, I think. So it started off, and I met Clay Guida. I was absolutely starstruck meeting Clay Guida.
Branden, you're old school UFC. Do you know if you were starstruck meeting Clay Guida, you've been watching for a while.
I have. That's it's become kind of a family thing.
Very cool. Jamie, I'm sorry, I saw your mic on there. My bad, man. Go ahead.
Oh, I just turned it on. I just wanted to say hi to Branden and nice to hear from you. I don't know if you remember me from Albuquerque. I met you and your dad up there briefly, and really nice to see you on the podcast.
I do remember you. I remember we still need to get that rolling.
Yes, sir. I'll definitely, next time I go up to Albuquerque, if you guys are ever down here in Las Cruces, I'd love to have you come into our gym.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate your kind words.
Oh, no problem, man. You're a kind and interesting and passionate person. I really appreciated meeting you and your dad. Let me ask you, of currently competing fighters, who's your favorite?
I haven't really kept up with the currently competing fighters. But I watched the fight last night, and it was Bellator. It was saw Benson Henderson fighting. It was back in 2018, but
Yeah.
Benson has always been one of my favorites to watch.
Yes, Benson he's kind of fizzled a little bit, but he had quite a good career.
And I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Who's your favorite fighter of all time and your favorite fighter currently?
That's a tough one because there's so many darn good ones. Currently competing, I got to tell you, it's probably Valentina Shevchenko because she's just so well rounded. Yeah, she's primarily a Muay Thai fighter, but I came about that opinion probably about a year and a half ago whenever she fought Megan Anderson, and I saw just how good she was on the ground. Megan Anderson and a couple of other girls that she competed with recently. I mean, she fought Amanda Nunez twice and kind of went to a stale. I mean, she lost both, but it went to a stalemate. Amanda Nunez, who's a beast and a legitimate black belt, couldn't finish her either standing or on the feet. And yeah, she's a fan favorite of mine, and she's just a decent person too. I don't particularly care for people that talk a lot of trash and act like an asshole and act like they're in the WWE. You know, like you're a professional athlete, act like it.
Well, that's the thing, man. You shouldn't have to go into it and talk trash. I
Exactly.
get that
You should
some of it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you should rest on your performance, and that's part of the reason. Probably my favorite fighter of all time is George St. Pierre. A lot of people give me crap about that. They say, "Oh, he's boring. He's he's the decisionator. He, would just ground hump people." It's like, okay, well then beat him.
Exactly. You shouldn't be talking the talk if you can't walk the walk. And most of the people that are talking crap can't walk the walk.
Yeah, yeah. But I was going to tell you, in July, I think it's the 9th, we got Desert Warrior, and a bunch of us are going up there. So I'll probably take the whole weekend off and maybe VRBO a place, and I'll love to. I'll hit you up on Instagram or on social media. We'll get together for sure.
Definitely, that would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know
Is
if you're aware
Desert
of that.
Warrior like a tournament or something?
Yes, they're having a sub-only tournament up there.
Oh, that's cool. I think I've actually heard of that one.
Yeah, they usually have it. They've had it in El Paso for years. Well, I've done it. I've done it every year that I've been here, and this year they're having it in up in Albuquerque. It's a 10-minute sub only, Ghee and Nogi.
I've always thought a sub-only tournament would be interesting because every time I competed as a kid, it was I lost by points if I lost.
Yeah, I think sub only is the future. I mean, I've done really well in points matches, and I've also lost my ass in them. But the times when I've won in points matches, I didn't really feel like I won. I felt like, okay, I got lucky. I ended up getting a takedown and holding the guy down and attempting a whole bunch of submissions. Whereas in a sub only, it's like who won.
Right. So in my last tournament, which was I was probably 12, 14 maybe. I was still a kid.
Yeah.
Me and a buddy of mine had gotten into the finales, into the finals, and what he was doing was he was going from side control and neon belly and mount, and then just continuing to do that to rack up points.
Yep.
And I wasn't able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But he reached down his arm at like the last 15 seconds. I snapped an armbar and won it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me. That's winning in jiu-jitsu, and I respect points players, and I understand that we have to have a place for that too. But for me, it's that's how you win. You submit somebody.
Well, it's like in the UFC, they say to be the champ, you have to beat the champ.
Yeah, and never leave it in the hands of the judges.
Exactly.
But yeah, Brandon, it's always a pleasure seeing your stuff on Instagram, and I hope I'll definitely make a point of seeing you in July up there. There's a couple of us going up there for that.
Just let me know, man. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, dude. Oh, nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you as well.
Yeah. Just to double check, that's the Desert Jiu-Jitsu Championships on July 9th, right?
Desert Warrior. Let me just scroll to my calendar on my phone as I'm talking to you, and I will look it up because I have it marked on my little calendar. It is, in fact, July 9th, Desert Warrior Jiu-Jitsu in Albuquerque. It might actually be in Rio Rancho. I'll have to look it up, but I'm registered. I'm in.
Perfect. Okay, awesome.
Well, you going to do it?
I did the Desert Jiu-Jitsu one last year in El Paso, and I'm wondering if we might be thinking about the same one because it's also on July 9th and also in Albuquerque. I just sent you the link to the post just to double check. But I took photos for them, and that's the one where Jude is actually, the photos that I took are actually on their flyers. So I'm going to go up there, hopefully, to go take some pictures. And I'd love to get some of you, Brandon, if you happen to be up there as well. It'd be super cool.
We'll definitely have to get a little group together if we happen to meet up at the tournament.
Well, yeah, I'd love to have you in my corner up there.
I don't know how much I'll be able to do for you, but I'll try.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I just looked at it, Katie. That is the one.
Yeah, Desert Jiu-Jitsu Championships is we've liked that one. It's put on by the guys in El Paso. and they've been getting bigger and bigger every year. But it's been personally one of my favorites since I was a white belt.
Oh yeah.
And for the last one, Katie went up and took some amazing pictures. I don't know if you've seen any of her work, Branden, but yeah, if Katie's around with a camera, she works some magic. So hopefully we'll get some good pictures out of this next one in July.
That would be awesome. I'm gonna have to go look at your Instagram and see your photos.
And thank you. And thank you, Mark. I super appreciate it. It's been the Desert Jiu-Jitsu one was actually one of the first like real competitions I went to take photos. And actually I competed in as well. I'm definitely right there with you. I love sub only. Mark and I laugh because he always says I have a sub only style of jiu-jitsu because I like to work quick and I like to finish quick. So I'm really hoping that I can go up there and compete and take photos. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and you even helped me coach. That was your coaching debut, that one also.
Which was super fun. If you ever need someone to help you coaching it, I loved it. I loved coaching at Naga as well. I really enjoy like working with kiddos. So 10 out of 10, I'll be there.
That's great. Branden, man, it's been great to have you on. I did want to ask you, do you, because I know we're talking about sub only and, all this stuff. Do you like the Ghee or do you train any Nogi? Is it strictly Ghee?
So I started off strictly Ghee, and then I moved to Nogi. Really started enjoying Nogi because I've always had problems with people with breaking people's grips. With Nogi, it's a lot easier to break grips. And then when I started learning how to use grips a lot more often and how to use them effectively, I went back to Ghee because I find it just a little easier to control my opponent.
Very cool. I was the opposite. So I started just Nogi for years and then put on the Ghee. And, now I can't say some days I like one more than the other, but, in the Ghee, there's just so many more options. So I always tend to lean a little bit more towards that because it's very fun for me.
And that is completely understandable. Ghee and Nogi both have their own, how would we call them, attributes. They both have their own bonuses.
Yes.
I'm definitely like much more of a Nogi player personally, and I absolutely agree with you, man. I think the Ghee, I think that it's important personally that jiu-jitsu players do both. I think it's really cool to experience them because they do have their own really unique attributes. In my own experience, I found that Ghee is a lot slower and a lot like you just have to be super technical. You have to make sure that you have the correct grips, and that's great. And then for me, I really love Nogi because it's quick. You're exactly right. Breaking grips, easy peasy. You're slip sliding around, and it's a good time. But I think it's great to do both.
I definitely agree with that. I think that it's all right to start in Nogi, but to have a base of Ghee as well, because anything that you learn in Ghee is going to translate to Nogi.
Yep, 100%. And I think I smell a topic coming. We should probably have a conversation about Ghee or no Ghee and whether it's easier to transition from Ghee to no Ghee or from no Ghee to Ghee, because I would love to hear some people's thoughts on that.
Definitely, I think at some point you definitely need to have that as a topic on your show.
It'd be awesome. I would love to have you back in, man. This is the format. We sometimes we have people on. We'll talk for like 20 minutes and then open the mics, just to a general conversation about jiu-jitsu or about anything else. And I, really truthfully enjoyed this conversation tonight. So I appreciate you coming out and spending time with us.
I appreciate you bringing me on the show. I have been excited about this for a while because I've never really done podcasts. I did the Jackson Link podcast at one point, but then not really anything after that. And now I'm here.
I got to see they have a podcast room in their gym. It's really cool. I had a tour of the place, a real quick one, and I absolutely loved their facility.
It's a really good facility. It's a big improvement over the one that they had before.
Now, you train up in Albuquerque, and we talked about like Cowboy Cerrone, but that's one of the really cool things about training up north is that you have some world class, not just MMA but jiu-jitsu artists that go through Albuquerque. George St. Pierre trained there for a while. I mean, how many others have you met? Do you have any other stories like that?
I've met quite a few of the Jackson's fighters, actually. The first fighter I ever met, though, was Chuck Liddell.
Oh, I love Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck was awesome. He came here, I think it was to a Hastings for a book signing, if that tells you how long ago it was.
It dates it a little bit, man. So Chuck was always one of my friends' favorite fighters growing up. Like when we were in college, All of my friends love Chuck Liddell, and I was a little bit old school. I loved Hoist Gracie coming up, and that's why I love jiu-jitsu, is because of what I saw him do in the early UFCs. Um, but then when Anderson Silva came on the scene, it was just a whole different level of martial arts.
Yeah, the middleweight division opened up quick when Anderson came in.
Yeah, and that's another one I'd probably like to have you on, man. We're gonna have David on, I think, on Monday. A buddy of mine, he's a former Marine. He trains with us, and he's very knowledgeable about MMA. And I mean, that's a conversation that I would love to continue to hear. Your thoughts and your stories about.
I would love to be on. Just let me know.
Absolutely, man. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8:30. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Jamie, Natasha, Matthew, Katie, Jackie, everybody who's been coming out and listening, when they can. I really appreciate it. Katie, you're awesome as always. Does anybody else have any more comments before we wrap tonight?
Just wanted to echo Mark and say a huge thank you again for coming out and joining us on the podcast this evening. We really appreciate you. I'm really excited to hear about what you do with your motivational speaking. I myself have done quite a few different public speaking things, and I would love to get together and figure out a game plan. If you ever want to work out something, I would love to do that. I think it's awesome that you want to go out and spread such a positive message. So super excited to hear what you do.
Absolutely, I'll definitely get in contact with you on that. See if we can't I don't know, set up a gig or something sometime.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, I would love to have you down and maybe talk to our students and, just to kind of get some experience if you'd like to, man, and
Oh,
start
I love that.
working your material and getting your things out. I know Katie's has a lot of experience in communication. I've been doing a lot of public speaking, for other jobs and stuff. So I would love to see you continue this, man, and really start to do a lot more work in that field. One more time, Branden, thank you so much for coming out, talking with us. Katie, thank you for coming out, being such a great part of this show. Everyone else, love you guys. Have a good night.